Today, we're going to dive into one of Munshi Premchand's most powerful and, honestly, most tragic short stories, Agni Samadhi. It translates to immolation by fire, and trust me, it is a gut-wrenching tale about addiction, rivalry, and a final sacrifice that really pushes the limits of what we can understand. Right from the get-go, the story hits you with this incredibly ironic line. It basically sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. It tells us that for our main character, Payag, hanging out with so-called holy men isn't going to lead to enlightenment. Oh no, it's going to lead straight to his own destruction. So, let's get into it. Let's take a closer look at this man, Payag, and see how his tragic downfall begins. Wow, this contrast really says it all, doesn't it? Before he got mixed up with this group of saints, Payag was, the guy you wanted as your neighbor. He was hardworking, cheerful, respected by everyone. But they introduce him to ganja and charas, and the man he used to be just vanishes. He does a complete 180 from a family provider to this idol of laziness, where his entire life just revolves around getting his next fix. And of course, this addiction has absolutely devastating effects on his family. His salary as the village watchman, which wasn't much to begin with, used to go to the household. Now, it's his personal drug fund. So the entire weight of their survival just crashes down on his wife, Rukmin. She's forced to work twice as hard just to put food on the table. But as the tension at home gets worse and worse, you'd think Payag would try to fix things, right? Nope. Instead, he comes up with this cruel, twisted plan to make everything so much worse. So after a big fight where Rukmin understandably refuses to give him money for drugs, Payag just storms off. And when he comes back, it's not with an apology. He shows up with another woman, Celia, and just moves her into their home. He literally installs a rival for his wife, right under her own roof, shattering what little was left of their life together. What he's doing here, it's this classic, nasty tactic called Bhed Niti. Think divide and conquer. He intentionally pits these two women against each other. He forces them to compete for his attention and, more importantly, for his favor, which he only gives to whoever gives him the most money. It's a sick, manipulative game, all designed to keep him in control and to fund his addiction. And this table just lays out perfectly how that whole twisted game plays out. At first, Rukmin tries to win him back. She works herself to the bone and gives him half of everything she earns, while Celia just gets to be the new bride. But Celia, well, she's ambitious. She gets tired of sitting around and starts her own work, and it turns out she's a much better earner. She starts bringing in more cash, and for Paya, that's all that matters. Just like that, Celia becomes the new favorite. Okay, so you've got this pressure cooker of a situation at home. This simmering rivalry was basically a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. And when it finally does explode, it's over something that seems ridiculously small. So one day, Celia comes back from the fields with this huge bundle of grass she's going to sell. And Rukmin, in this moment of just petty jealousy, she secretly pulls out a tiny handful and hides it. Celia notices, and she absolutely loses it. She unleashes this storm of curses. And just like that, the feud goes from quiet resentment to all-out war. Now, Paya comes home that night, and he's already in a foul mood from a bad day at the police station. He's a storm looking for a place to land. Celia immediately tells him her side of the story, and that's it. He just snaps. He attacks Rukmin and beats her without mercy, leaving her bruised and broken. It is a truly horrifying moment. But Rukmin, she doesn't just lie there and take it. The beating changes something in her. She stops reacting to the pain, and she starts chanting this chilling, relentless curse. It's not even angry anymore. Her voice is just filled with this manic, all-consuming wish for him to be destroyed. This is the moment something inside her breaks for good. And that very same night, it's almost as if her curse takes on a life of its own, leading to the story's fiery, unforgettable climax. So picture this. Payaz out in the fields, guarding the harvest that's almost ready to be collected. And suddenly, he sees a glow. It's his own little watchman's hut, and it's on fire. Now, with all the dry crops around and a strong wind blowing, a single spark could mean total disaster for the entire village. What he does next is it's almost superhuman. In this crazy surge of adrenaline, Payag lifts the entire flaming hut onto his head and starts running, trying to get it away from the crops. He is literally being burned alive. And just as he's about to collapse under the weight and the fire, who appears out of the darkness? Rukmin. She doesn't say a word. She just steps forward, takes the burning structure from his shoulders onto her own, and keeps running. She gets it to safety, but in the process, she is completely consumed by the flames. This is her Agni Samadhi.
Her sacrifice saves the village. It saves Payog's life. But the tragedy is still far from over.
They manage to rescue Payog, but he's terribly burned all over his face and body. When he finally comes to, the very first thing he sees is what's left of Rukmin's body. The villagers take him home, but his condition just gets worse and worse, and about a week later, he dies. And here is the story's final, devastating twist. The author tells us that it wasn't just the physical burns from the fire that killed Payag. What really finished him off was the shokagani, the fire of his own overwhelming grief, his sorrow, and the unbearable guilt over what he did to Rukmin, and what she, in the end, did for him. So this leaves us with this really haunting question that just sticks with you. Why did Rukmin do it? I mean, after all the abuse, after he replaced her, was that final act a selfless display of love? Was it just a surrender to complete and total despair? Or was it something else, a final tragic act of rebellion that she knew would chain Payog to her memory forever through his own guilt? The story never gives you an easy answer.